The WNBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code NBA SGPN. Score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Yes, sir. We are back with another edition of the WNBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. No me, no the voice, no the guy. It's me, a really real, a villain real. Terrell Furman Jr. here at your service. It wasn't technically a sweep because I took the Mystics first half money line, but not only did I hit my lock, I gave you a 6-1 parlay that hit. Oh man, I mean, what? The season is coming to an end. It's the last day. You know, the last day of school vibes and how the vibes are where anything goes and everybody does everything on the last day of school. That's what it's like here. Scott Studio Reichel. Scott, what is going on?
Scotty, beam me up.
Surprise.
Yeah, doing pretty well. Unfortunately, didn't get the sweep. Did win the lock, though. I had Allen over her assists at 3.5. She had 4, so a nice win there. For the dog, didn't get there, as I ended up having Rakia to score 20-plus points, and she got thrown out. So not exactly the way I drew it up. I know that she did not shoot the ball well. I think she was like 2 of 11 in the first half, and then Griner hits her with an elbow on a free throw. Yeah, she had 8 points. I'm saying it might have been interesting, but the point is that she ended up taking basically an elbow from BG on a free throw, and Rakia basically just said, I don't know who the hell you think you're doing this to, but it's not me. And Rakia started kind of, I don't want to say shoving Brittany, but they had a bit of an altercation, and then both of them got thrown out. So it is what it is. Props to Rakia in general. I know that she ended up screwing us over for that prop, but I respect her for standing up for herself against Griner on a rookie season. She was going to put up with it. She decided not to. And she said, I might be a rookie, but we got like 1 game left. I'm 30-plus games into it, so you're not doing that to me anymore. And Rakia let her know. So I respect the fact that Rakia was willing to square up with Brittany, despite having the size disadvantage. Unfortunately, we lost money, but I respect Rakia's mentality for standing up to Griner. You feel the same way?
Oh, yeah. She was so about the smoke.
Yeah.
They were 100% about the smoke, man. And it's so funny, like, when it happened, because I'm watching and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Wait, how did they even why are these two people even have a problem? Like, and then they go and they play it back and I see the elbow and I'm like, oh, she didn't take that at all. Like, at all. So, oh, man, it was absolutely hilarious. But to talk about the parlay, that was the last leg, Scott, the over in that game. And so first leg had a sweat. Every single leg was a sweat, Scott. Every single leg. The under, we were good. Actually, no, the first quarter, the under looked like it was kind of dead. Then that Lynx and Sun game slowed down completely. And when they got to the fourth quarter, the last minute of that game is probably one of the best 1-minute intervals of a basketball game that I've seen. They were just trading bucket after bucket after bucket. And when Carlton hit that last 3, I was like, oh my God, I think that just sent me over. And then I was sitting there, I'm like, oh no, they can't score again. But how the last minute just went, I was like, oh no, they're 100% about to score again. We're going to lose this on the last shot. Sure enough, didn't. Aces played with their food for majority of that game, got it right in the fourth quarter. But that over, once Rakia and BG was like had 14 points on 7 for 8 shooting. Like, once BG and Rakia got tossed, I was like, oh yeah, there's no way this hits. Because the Mercury aren't going to be able to find a way to score. Luckily, they did. And then a last-second flurry by the Sparks, and that carried us a couple of points over. But it was a great sweat, like an amazing sweat. Shout out to anybody that tailed. That was an amazing sweat, like a really, really good sweat. I appreciate those plays where you're just sweating, and it actually hits instead of the sweating and then being disappointed at the end.
Yeah, also quick shout out to the Liberty for clinching the 1 seed as they were able to beat the Mystics. Now, the
Liberty
final
Bibber.
playoff spot, you have 3 teams that are still fighting for the last playoff spot. Really 2, but technically Chicago's got a shot at it, but technically you have 3 teams that are fighting for it. We'll get into the playoff, I'd say, scenarios in a second when we actually get into the games, but we did get some more clarity on the actual bracket on Tuesday.
Yep, and we'll clear that up in just a second. But before we do that, got to talk to you about the war against corporate gambling, and it's heating up with SGPN. You need to do your part. We need you to do your part. So take a couple seconds and rate and review the WNBA Gambling Podcast, and make sure you tell a friend. Use word of mouth. Tell everybody about the heartbeat of SGPN. I need you. Please spread the word. Rate and review the WNBA Gambling Podcast. All right, Scott. If this was Marvel and Doctor Strange said that he saw a billion scenarios of how this last playoff spot's going to go, he would say that there's only one situation that he sees the Chicago Sky or the Washington Mystics getting in. Everything else screams dream.
I mean, I'll put it this way. I'll put one scenario for the Sky. I'll put more scenarios for the Mystics because the Sky's scenario is basically impossible.
It's actually like only one scenario for the Mystics. That has to happen. I think that's it has to be.
I don't think so. I think
as
long as Atlanta loses and they win, then they get in.
You said what?
I think as long as
that's the only sscenario.
Yeah,
there's no other combination of wins, and there's no other combination.
I'm also factoring the odds, though. There's one scenario, but if you want to compare the probability of both of those one-offs happening, the Mystics one is significantly higher than the Sky one. The Sky one's basically impossible.
It's still just one, Scott.
It's just one, but I'm saying if you're factoring the
one.
actual odds of the games themselves, the Mystics have a much better chance than the Sky. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Oh, yeah. That was easy, but the fact is, it's one scenario. There's only one scenario the Mystics get in. There's only one scenario that the Sky get in. However, the Dream have a whole bunch of scenarios of win-losses and all of this tiebreakers and stuff where they can get in. However, the Dream also have quite possibly could be the toughest matchup, and I'll tell you why. But before I do that, got to tell you that, look, the Atlanta Dream on the road going to play the New York Liberty. They're catching 158.5 is the total. Let's update the most up-to-date injury report for these two teams. And
I think I think everyone's playing.
No, so that is where we're at right now. But to explain it, Scott, this is more than likely not going to be the situation when the game tips off. Like, I'm almost 100% positive it's not going to be the situation where everybody's playing before the game tips off. Or if everybody is playing, there is also a possibility of playing early and then sitting some people or staggering minutes and not having, your starters out there for 35 plus minutes. I just don't see a situation like this is where we were talking about a week prior and you were asking if people would start benching people. And I said, absolutely not. Now this is the part where people start benching people. And we've seen it across the league already. Sandy Brondello has not announced any outs yet or any remnants on the injury report. So as of right now, everybody's playing. But again, there's literally nothing to play for. But Nyjah Hamilton's been dealing with a knee issue for the better part of the entire season. So I would be shocked if she played in a meaningless game here. That's why I'm like, this injury report means nothing because Nyjah Hamilton's name is not on it. And I would be shocked for somebody who's had knee issues the entirety of the season to be playing in this last game. That means nothing. So that also just gives me the indication that the Liberty are going to come back in here later on in the day and announce some outs. And we just don't know how many or who all, because I don't think they can sit all 5 of their starting lineup and put together a team that they would feel comfortable playing for 40 minutes. So that's the Atlanta's issue. Because if anybody with the pulse plays for the New York Liberty, Atlanta's probably going to lose this game.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I want to bring up because I do want to ask you. I think you might be a little bit incorrect that the Liberty have nothing to play for if they care about franchise records for wins. Because they're currently tied for the franchise record for most wins in a single season. They're tied at 32. Now, it depends if they actually want to go for it. They could go for the franchise record to win their 33rd. I looked up the numbers last year because I know the Liberty were in, I believe, a similar spot last year. And they started everybody. And they actually lost to the Mystics, coincidentally. But the point is that the Liberty actually did not bench anybody in the finale last year, and they still lost. So I do wonder if Sandy's going to actually bench players, because maybe it makes a lot of sense conceptually when you have the 1 seed wrapped up already. Do they care about setting franchise records for wins? Maybe. They might. I don't know. But I would say that there is a little bit more than nothing to care about for the Liberty. It's not a lot. It's mostly just about creating the greatest regular season in the history of the franchise. But if they do want to go for the franchise record, there is something on the table. I'll mention that.
Okay. I didn't know that. So I guess that's something on the table. And that would, but that also just doesn't make anything feel good about the Dream. Like, I have the Dream plus 450 on the ticket to make the playoffs. And I'm actually like pretty worried. In this
I have to
spot.
scroll up and find all the scenarios because I saw it last night, but I want to make sure that I could actually place it again. I believe I have most of it in my head. I think that the Sky's only way of getting in is if there's a 3-way tie. So they need
So
the
the
Dream
Sky,
and the Mystics to lose. The Dream are in multiple ways. Dream win, they're in. Dream lose and the Mystics lose, they're in. And then if all 3 teams lose, the Dream are in. That's my understanding. The Sky's only way of getting in is if they win and the Dream and the Mercury and the Mystics, lose. It's the only way that they're in. So the Dream have 3 chances to get in. That was my understanding. Is that accurate?
let me. Yeah. So, well, it's more than 3. I think it's a little bit. It's a little bit more than 3. Hold on, because I had it right here.
I think those are the main 3, at least, that I could think of.
But you are right on Washington and Chicago in
Yeah.
that they are they 100% need Atlanta loss. Like, that's the first thing, first and foremost. Chicago and both Mystics need Atlanta to lose. The Mystics need not only a win, but they need Chicago to win too. So they can't just win.
Okay.
They have to win. Chicago has to win, and then Chicago clinches with Atlanta loss. They win, and DC has to lose. So
Yeah.
the Mystics have to lose. So it's like it's a bunch of other things, and that's why it's so hard for like the Mystics and the Sky. And it's not as easy as just an Atlanta loss here. But an Atlanta loss literally opens up the floodgates, and
I mean, if you had to go for probability, the Sky are honestly like in single digits. That's just not going to happen.
yeah.
The Mystics.
I mean, the fact that the Mystics need the Sky is the part that is the hard part. Is the
Do the
fact that
Mystics need the
needing the
Sky?
Sky to win. Yeah, they need the Sky.
Because they're tied head to head, right?
Yep. Chicago owns the tiebreaker over Atlanta. The Mystics own the tiebreaker over where? The Mystics own the tiebreaker over the Sky. So if the Sky win,
But who has the
and
tiebreaker between the 2 of them? Because you have the.
and then so Atlanta is last in tiebreaker. Atlanta is last, like through all the tiebreakers. Atlanta is dead last. They cannot tie with these teams.
So if the Mystics win and the Dream lose, then don't the Mystics get in because they own the tiebreaker and they'd be a game ahead of the Sky basically.
Okay.
If they win and the Dream lose, they should be in because they'd be tied record wise. But the Mystics have the tiebreaker.
All right, here we go. Annie.
At least that was how I understood it.
Where's that tweet? I want the one that I found earlier that had everything. Like, it was like 8 different scenarios and it had it all lined up.
I want to say that I just found it, but I want to make sure I got this right. If the Dream win, they're in. If the Dream lose, the Mystics lose, and the Sky, the Dream are in. If the Dream lose, the Mystics win, and the Sky lose, then the Dream get the. I know, so you're actually right. If the Dream lose, the Mystics win, and the Sky lose, the Dream actually do get the 8 seed. Okay, never mind.
So it takes the Sky win. Like, it takes the Sky win regardless. And that's just the hard part. Like, that's the part that I can't get past. Okay. But regardless, I can't take the Dream in this game.
Yeah, my bad. Reich saying the same thing. I didn't realize the Mystics needed that much to go their way. So you could argue the game for the Dream might not be the biggest deal because the Sky are 14.5-point dogs to the Sun. So this game actually might not matter at all.
Yeah, and then the Sun actually have something to play for.
Yeah,
That's
the
the
Sun are
that's the
trying to
hard part.
stay ahead.
But
Yeah.
regardless of all of that, like I cannot bet this game.
I know if I can't either. The argument is the Dream are going to go for it, but even if they lose, they might get in anyway. And you're looking at the Liberty, who I mentioned before. Last year, they didn't bench anybody in the final game, despite kind of having incentive to. And on top of that, you're looking at the Liberty potentially going for a franchise record in wins. So I got nothing in this game either. The line feels off to me. And the Liberty might actually go for it. I would probably lean Liberty based on this price, but I'm not going to bet it. But 1.5 feels a bit short. If you think there's even a chance, if you think there's a chance the Liberty don't sit people, then yes.
Dreams suck. Dreams suck. I think that if anybody with the pulse plays for the Liberty, they're going to lose.
That's kind of how I feel. So right now, I would lean to the Liberty based on the number, but I probably am not going to play this.
Yeah. Good luck to get me to give you an accurate reading on total here.
I think I'll lean over. Do I trust the Dream to actually stop anybody?
I don't know. I mean, even the players on the bench play good defensively for the Liberty. I'll take the under.
The last 2 meetings have been alternating. 2 of the 3 meetings did end up going under, but the Liberty did win all 3 games by 6+ points. So once again, if you're picking players from the Liberty to actually play, I think 1.5 is a bargain. It involves some gambling. You got to hope the injury report goes in your favor, but yeah, who knows? Sandy did start players last year in the finale.
Scott, I got Ryan Howard 4.5 rebounds at plus money last night.
Okay.
She has been really good to the number. Been over in her last 4 games, or 4 of the last 5 games against the Liberty, and been over in her last couple. And like I said, we know Atlanta's playing their players the whole time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel confident with 35 plus minutes. We might be able to get 5 rebounds, especially if it's not as much Jonquel Jones, Breanna Stewart. Like, she's going to come up on a few rebounds. So, I played that for Ryan Howard.
Well, I do want to ask you, because this could potentially be a preview of the first round. If the Liberty could choose their opponent, of course, the Sky is not realistic. You think they'd rather face off against the Dream or the Mystics? I would actually say Dream. They've done a better job against.
I mean,
the
I don't know,
Scott.
We dogged the Mystics last year. Like, we played the Mystics in the first round last year.
Did we dog them? I thought one of those games went to like overtime, and you had like a serious sweat there. Then again, that's with Deladon. I get it, but
yeah,
I think if you're asking which team's given this team a harder time this season, I would say the Mystics have given the Liberty a harder time than the Dream have.
Yeah, but if you look at those 2 teams, like, well, I mean, I guess so, but like,
that's an incentive for the Liberty, though.
I don't think I want to play with Tina Charles playing against New York in
that's fair.
A playoff game. Like,
the counterpoint would be if you think the Dream get in anyway, the Liberty might not want to show anything for a playoff series. They might be incentivized to sit people anyway. But once again, I think I'm going to lean Liberty based on the price, but I'll probably not bet this game. But for the sake of props, I do wonder if the Liberty sit anybody, because you could take some Ionescu unders. We have 6.5
I would be shocked if Benajelani Hamilton played. I would be shocked.
No, I don't think she's going to play.
She should not play. Like, if anybody should sit, it's her.
Yeah. I thought about Charles' rebound stuff, but that's at 11.5 that I can't take. Ionescu points under might be worth a look for me. We know that the assists have been there. The points have really not been there. And maybe she sits after playing a half or so. I mean, her points are at 14.5 now. The under is, I don't even know if it's available, but I don't mind the under.
At that point, they already moved the line.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I missed out, but the point is, if she only plays a half, she's been going under regularly anyway. So a couple ways to get there for your Ionescu unders if you want to go a little bit risky on it. That could be an option.
All right. Before we get to the next game of the slate, got to talk to you about Underdog Fantasy. They now have added first touchdown projections to their menu of options that you can pick for fantasy stats for your players. To add in Underdog Fantasy, you can use specials and boost and flex all the entries as well. And look, NFL, WNBA, college football, MLB, MMA, you can do all of it in one. So sign up with promo code NBA SGPN, claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash on underdogfantasy.com, promo code NBA SGPN. All right. Next game up. Indiana Fever on the road going to play the Washington Mystics. This is in Capital One Arena. 2.5 is what the Mystics are laying at home here. 166.5 is the total. There are no reported outs here in this game yet. However, I'm telling you, the line being Mystics 2.5 screams that Indiana's not playing everybody. Indiana, I feel like, has the least incentive not to play everybody, and I mean, they have everything locked up, but it's just the fact of like
Inexperience, you want to just get in there in form.
yeah. Like I would think Indiana would play people before others. I don't know if Caitlin Clark has any other rookie WNBA record that she's chasing that she might have to incentive to go out here and play this game, but yeah. So there's a debate because there's also is 21. I know for sure I have a 21.5, but I feel when I went back and looked at the show, it definitely said 20.5.
I have the banners. It said 20.5 on the show.
Yeah. So there is a strong debate on what we gave out on the show. I think we gave out 20.5, but I know for a fact I have a 21.5 ticket. So I cashed. But this game is very, very important to that ticket of 20.5. And I know there's people out here with 20.5. So I'm almost positive that somebody out there has a 20.5 and they're sweating this game. However, the line is screaming that the Mystics are playing against half a team.
Yeah. Now, the Fever, I believe, used everybody in practice on Wednesday, which is why there is nobody listed as out for this game. It seems like the Fever are willing to use Caitlin Clark and company. I don't know how long, maybe a quarter, maybe a half, but they will be playing some part of this game. Probably not the second half, but maybe for a half. That's my understanding. Assuming we agree on that?
Yeah. Maybe a half, maybe, staggered, maybe. Regardless, I mean, they played 3 times and the Mystics have been there every single time. Yeah. They go out there, they cover the first meeting 85-83 and in a loss. The next one is 88-81 and that game was closer than indicated. The Fever just kind of pulled away a little bit later in that one. And then they got the win on the road outright 89-84. I mean, yes, I'm still playing the first half here. I'm still playing the first half. It doesn't matter.
I think I like the first half over. I'll tell you what, though, if you do like Mystics halftime, full-time, that has some value if you do think Indiana just pulls everyone at halftime.
And I feel like that's it. Like, once Indiana, when
they pull everyone, this team's awful.
Yeah, this team is horrible. Like, this is the same team that was like 7-5 wins that one year. Like, when they start to pull names off this roster, it's that same team. So, like, yeah, I'm taking Mystics. I'm not playing. Come on.
I think it's a great live betting spot. The second Caitlin people get pulled, just bet the Mystics, and they probably win the game by like 10.
Yeah.
So I think I'd rather
have
live
already
bet it.
given them trouble. Like, they've given them trouble with their full lineup already. They're going to dog this team if they start sitting people. That's just the only hard part about betting this game is that you don't know exactly what they're going to do. But if you just take the indication that Indiana's not going to take this game serious, like, just take the Mystics, man. Just take the Mystics. They need it.
Maybe a team total if you think the Fever aren't going to guard anybody anyway. That could be an option too. But assuming that Clark and company play a half, then the Mystics have a chance to maybe even cash a Fever first half, Mystics full game line. And that's a decent price. That does involve going against the Mystics in the first half, which is against one of the commandments of the WNBA. But I do think that you can make arguments that a halftime, full-time market will have value in the games, especially in the finale, if you think players get sat halfway through. So that could be a market you might be interested in.
166.5 is the total. I'll take Mystics team total over.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, what's that team? I don't have a price on it, but I would play. I wouldn't play the full because if
I got to imagine it's 84.5, 85.5.
If we at any point get backups in this game, and I mean, why would you? Why? They're not scoring. No, so I actually like the under for the game, to be honest, but I like Mystic's team total over. I think at the very least they're going to be able to score.
I see Reg, by the way, talking about the Fever holding the 6. They already have the 6. The game means nothing for the Fever. They're already locked in. So we'll see what happens. But their seeding is already done. That's why the Fever.
No, so the seeding of everybody is figured out except 3 and 4 and 8. 3 and 4 can potentially flip. It's just a very, very low possibility. Yeah. But the option is there, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But quick props. Ariel Atkins been shooting the ball really well recently. Been over 14.5 in her last 2 games. I believe it was 16 and 22. She's been over in 3 of the last 4 against Indiana, and I think that's 3 straight. So they're going to play the whole time. I think especially Indiana's poor on defense already, but when the backups come in, I don't think it gets much better. So I like Ariel Atkins to have a day.
Yeah, I see somebody commenting a prop or at least asking about Clark points. I actually love Clark unders in this game. If we're talking about the incentive to sit players at any point in the game, Clark's number 1 because she is the heart and soul of your team. We already know this. She's going to win unanimous Rookie of the Year. At least according to ESPN, they voted for her unanimously. There's no reason to play her a bunch of minutes. There's zero reason. If you want to give her a little bit of run for a half, sure. I don't want to compare it to like the Luka game that one time on Friday night because they were tanking at that point. Luka played a quarter in that game. You can see a similar thing here for Clark. She'll play like 8-10 minutes. She'll come out with Mitchell. She'll come out with the other starters, Boston, etc. And they just let the bench warmers get killed for 3 quarters. So I actually like the unders on Clark. I'm going to try to use this as my potential advantage here. If we think there's even a chance that Clark sits for a half, which according to logic makes all the sense in the world, why would I not take Clark under PRA, under points, under 8.5 assists? Is this just an under game for Clark? If you think there's a chance she even sits, I got to take some unders here.
I mean, even if she plays, like even if they don't say anything. So let's say we get to 7 p.m. on the East Coast and they say nothing and there's no words about anything. You still take the unders because if she plays and she doesn't play an assortment of 30 plus to 35, whatever minutes, she's not getting there.
No, and her lines are priced downward a bit. The PRA is at 34.5. That could be somewhere in the high 30s, even low 40s in theory. But we think she might be sitting minimum 10 minutes in this game, probably a lot more than that. So I'll take the unders on Clark. Makes no sense to play her 30-plus minutes in this game. 0.
Yeah. Give her some rest. Throw out Christy Wallace out there. Grace Berger. I think Grace Berger's still on that team. All right.
Do you think Nalissa plays with the bench warmers? She's going to go crazy. She plays with the bench warmers.
Oh, my gosh. Probably so. She's a Golden State Valkyrie. She's not worried about what's going on here. That's what's going to mess them up in the playoffs.
I forgot. Where's the other location that they announced the team for?
Toronto and Portland.
Okay.
Golden State, Toronto, and Portland. Portland and Toronto are both coming in 2026. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not next year. That's the year.
Yeah, that's 2 years. 2 teams in 1 year. That's going to be interesting.
If you enjoy watching teams that have like 13 wins competing for the final playoff spot, you better savor it because when we add teams, you probably will get better records at the bottom of the standings. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Before we get to the next game, got to talk to you about BetUS, best in the business. They've been around for more than 30 years. You can bet anywhere, available in the U.S. and a ton of locations internationally. So make sure you go ahead and tap into their all-new live betting experience, easy deposit with cryptocurrency. And yeah, we're going to might have to drop a little BetUS parlay at the end. Maybe that's what we should call it, the BetUS parlay. I kind of like that. Use our link, sign up, get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Use promo code SGPN so they know we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Make sure you get in the Rhythm Lab and build your models, your custom predictive betting models in seconds. And look, I forgot who it was, but there was somebody in the SGP show chat last night, and he said, hey, my WNBA models say play the Mystics and play the Lynx tomorrow. I said, oh, I like that. I think that's a pretty good idea. So make sure you use Rhythm AI and build your models. Here we go. 7-day free trial at Rhythm. You going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right. That is an insane price. Chicago Sky on the road, going to play the Connecticut Sun. Sunland 14 here, 154 is the total. Injury report for this game: Camila Cardosa is doubtful, Kenny Carter is questionable, and that's it. So this is yet another game that matters. The Connecticut Sun do need to win to secure a 3 seed. Chicago.
You know what that means, by the way? It's not only just secure the 3 seed, you get the Aces and the Liberty to kill each other in the second round.
Oh yeah, like even yeah. No, that is a really big deal. The Aces actually have, like, if the Aces were to somehow get this done, we'll talk about them in a second, but they were to somehow get this done, that is a pretty impressive run.
That's what I'm saying, though. You don't have a chance to just get the 3 seed and to avoid the Liberty and the Aces. You got a chance to put both of them on a collision course to kill each other
before you even get to the finals. Yeah, like,
so that's a massive game for
great nugget, Scott. Like, if there was any point of anybody saying that the Sun would want to duck Caitlin Clark in the Fever, no, I would much rather want to play Caitlin Clark in the Fever if that means that I get out of playing both the Aces and the Liberty.
If you're the Sun anyway, you trade for Mabry halfway through the year, your championship or bust anyway. Now, I know that might not be realistic based on how we viewed this team for months. In Connecticut's eyes, they made the final a couple years ago. It's win or go home. That's kind of how they're looking at it. And winning this game, getting the 3, gives them significantly better chances of actually winning a title. Are they going to get there? Probably not. I'll still pick the Lynx to beat them in a series, but their chances of beating the Lynx are higher than their chances of beating the Liberty and the Aces, let alone both. So massive game for the Sun.
I really do want to take the 14, though, but I just there's no Reese, no Cardoso. Like, that's literally your whole front court. Let's add in that they lost Elizabeth Williams in the beginning of the year. Like, that is the entire front court that they came into the season starting with, and 3 of them are out, and now it's Izzy and it's Brianna Turner. Feels like a lot of offensive rebound chances here for the Connecticut Sun. And even if they have a poor shooting day, they probably should do enough to pull away from the Chicago Sky, even if Kenny Carter plays.
The Sky had a playoff berth in their laps, and then everyone died, and they immediately just imploded in the last 2 weeks of the season. That's basically what happened. Right? I mean, I can't back the Sky. They've been competitive against this team 3 times this season. I'll give them props for it, but they don't have any bodies. Assuming Carter's not going to play, we know Cardoso's not going to play. I don't know what they have. I know I had Allen assists last game. They got killed last game anyway by like 16. They can't score. Defensively, they've been atrocious. Connecticut has all the incentive in the world to run it up on this team. I got to imagine the Sun kill them. And the Aces are benching everybody because they know the Sun are going to kill this team. So they're not even going to bother. I think
and also, throw this nugget in there. If Chicago doesn't get a playoff spot, they get to pick before the expansion team in the draft.
Yeah.
So the 4 teams that do not get in the playoffs all get their pick, and then the expansion team picks 5, and then the playoff teams pick in the draft. So
you get some ping pong balls for a shot at Paige or maybe Juju. So
yeah, well, not Juju. Juju's
not Juju. Sorry, Paige. Yeah, I forgot Juju has another
year. Yeah, you get some ping pong balls in the lottery, and you pretty much secure a top 4 pick because the expansion team is going to be 5.
Yeah, and you know that your team next year can fight for a playoff spot. You showed that your team young,
healthy. Just pack it in. Just pack it in.
Yeah. I got to imagine
what were you going to do? You weren't going to go win the title. Like, no. you get to the playoffs and you get to lose to the Liberty. Like, just pack it in.
I got to imagine the Sky basically no-show this game and the Sun bury him. That's really the main outcome I'm expecting. I think the Sun beat this team by like 20.
Yeah, let's go with Connecticut. 154.
I know it's scary laying this big of a number with a team that we have a hard time picking to score. Chicago,
but they're going to get so many offensive rebound chances. Like,
yeah, Brown and Jones has been great. AT's been fantastic recently. Maber's been good from 3. Bonner's been a bit quiet, but the point is they just have so many weapons, and with the Sky being so shorthanded and really getting run out by the Dream last game, I don't know how they hang in there against the Sun, a motivated Sun team in Mohegan. I just don't see that happening. I think the Sun killed this team, so I have to play the drop. Yeah.
I don't see any player props in this one.
I don't believe I see any props either, but I can quickly check to see if there's anything that I see. No, I see props. It's all Bet365, by the way. Bet365, I think, is like the only book that actually posted props. FanDuel has nothing. DraftKings has nothing. A lot of these books have nothing.
No.
Bet365 does. So,
Smell that.
opportunity.
I smell pussy to all the other books that don't have props.
Yeah.
You guys are
I thought you were making a quick reference to The Big Short there, so I completely just misread that entire situation.
Nah, it was 100%.
Good movie, though. I don't know if you ever saw that. It's a good movie.
House Party reference.
Oh, okay. Hopefully not the remake with LeBron.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the House Party, the remake. I haven't seen it.
I have not. All I know is I don't think I have the hair to pull off the kid and play look. So it is what it is. But
all right, let's looky here. Who goes out here and just has a random? Rachel Banham had 22 in that last game. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, you got to look for opportunities. I wanted Allen assist. That's at 4.5. I can't take that because she got the 4 and the team scored 70 points. So like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to go with here. I think AT has a monster game. If I had to go for points, if I had to go for rebounds and assists again, because she's been really lighting it up, good to see. We don't have many options. I see Allen, AT, Banham, and Bonner. That's the only options I have right now listed. So, yeah, choose whatever you want at that point.
I think I'm gonna go with Izzy, and here's the reasoning. Because once Izzy gets the ball inside, is anybody like at this point, especially if they're killing them, is anybody even going to contest her? Like she's going to get the easiest looks. Like at the very least, if Rachel Banham or Lindsay Allen is open from 3, you still got to hit the 3-point shot. Like,
yeah.
But if Izzy is right there underneath the rim, and this gets to a point where Connecticut is kind of coasting and they don't care and they're not playing any defense, like why doesn't Izzy just boop boop a little quick off the glass and in the bucket and we move on? So I think that's how I can sell myself on playing Isabel Harrison. But she had 9 points.
There's only one player I'm targeting here for the Sky. And it's going to be Lindsay Allen. Bet365 has her points, rebounds, and assists. It's at 14.5. Insanely low. I know that the Sun defensively are great. I get it. That line's insanely low. She's had at least 15 in 4 straight, at least 19 in 3 straight. Her minutes have been there. She's had at least 27 minutes in 3 of the last 4. They don't have any bodies. They need her to play minutes, and she's actually been good. I took her assist last episode as my lock. That got there. Points-wise, she's been fine. She has scored. She scored 16 points last game, so the points can get there as well. Point is, though, 14.5 for a player, one of the only healthy bodies they have left on the team. Starting point guard, ball in her hands all the time. If Carter doesn't play, she's going to have the ball in her hands all the time. 14.5 PRA is really low for Allen. I'll take the over on that. -125.
Next game up, Los Angeles Sparks on the road going to play the Minnesota Lynx. Lynx are laying 4.5 here. 158.5 is total. Injury report here, and Nafisa Collier is not playing. She's out for rest. Kayla McBride is out for rest. Dorka Uhas is questionable. Odyssey Sims is probable. Ari McDonald is out. Laisha Clarendon is out. And that's it.
I mean, it's really tricky because the Lynx are benching their best players, but the problem is they're so deep. Are they just good enough to beat this team anyway? Maybe.
No, I'm just gonna go Minnesota.
I don't. No, that's what I just said.
Oh yeah. I'm going. Yeah, I'm just gonna go Minnesota.
I asked you if Minnesota was good enough, despite sitting their 3 best players, to beat this team anyway, and the answer is probably.
Yeah, I got a bunch of it's a bunch of veterans on the squad.
They're at home. I know
at
the Sparks have been
home.
terrible on the road all year.
This was like the first like crazy Minnesota season in a long time, man. Like they've been kind of hovering around 500. They make the playoffs, not really do anything. This is the first season with expectations. I think
Probably
they
since like
close out
Maya
right.
Moore. They haven't been this good in a long time.
It's been a little minute. Like I can
Mhm.
think of a couple of teams, but
They've been in the
like
playoffs,
no,
but usually they were like a 6 seed.
yeah,
They're top 3. It's been a long time.
yeah, yeah. I can't get behind anything in this. In Minnesota, I just think Minnesota, even on the bench, like they're gonna play better. So I'll take Minnesota laying 4.5.
This is a
Uh,
pure stay away game for me. I mean, I see Courtney Williams is playing. So if you think that they let her actually play a lot of minutes, 21.5 PRA. I like the over on that, -105, but you have questions about her overall usage again with the amount of minutes. So, yeah, that's the tricky part. But Courtney Williams, if you're assuming she gets a decent workload, she's the main option. So I don't mind her PRA, but that is a risky bet.
yeah, but like my scared, like the thing that makes me scared and why I kind of lean to the over too is that Minnesota shoots the three so well that if
Yeah.
you get a Zandalicini or Pele coming off the bench shooting a bunch of threes and they start going, like this score is gonna run up.
There's no chance we get lines on either of those players, but you're right.
Oh yeah, we're definitely not getting lines on any of those players, but
I
they're
would bet like a leading scorer market in half these games if they had markets for it. We're probably not going to get it on any of them.
yeah. That's the concerning part there. Is
I like the
because
over
there
because the
are a
Sparks
bunch
don't
of
guard
people
anybody.
that can score on Minnesota's bench.
I like the over because the Sparks don't guard anybody, and the Lynx should be worse defensively because they're missing a bunch of their key players. So I like the over anyway. The Sparks don't guard anybody.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we're just gonna go ahead and skip on. That's a game that doesn't matter for people that are worrying. That's a game that completely doesn't matter. Like Minnesota's locked their spot, LA's locked their spot. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. By the
This is
way,
another game.
I think I'll do a quick just breakdown of which games matter or not. Sun game matters for both teams. The Dream game only matters for the Dream, unless the Liberty actually care about setting the franchise record for wins. The Mystics game only matters if the Sun end up losing, which is probably not going to happen. So once again, the Mystics game, I guess, doesn't really matter that much in hindsight, but in theory, it matters to them. Sparks game means nothing. The Aces game technically means something, but they're not going to use anybody because if the Sun win, who cares? And the Storm game mean nothing. So basically, you have what, like 1.5 games that matter? That's kind of where we're at for the actual card.
Yeah, Connecticut. Connecticut matters. That's really at this point. That's really it. It's the Connecticut and Chicago game. Like
Yeah, that's the
that's
only
the
game that really
game.
matters.
That's the game. That's the only game that matters and that controls what everybody else happens. Because if Chicago somehow wins, now Atlanta and Washington are interesting.
Yeah.
But when Connecticut wins, then that
Everything
go
else
ahead
is
and
meaningless.
solidifies. Yeah, that solidifies the standings, and 8 is solidified, and 3 and 4 are solidified. So that's really the big game that you're looking at here. So if you think that Chicago can work some magic, then you can make a lot of money today. But I don't think so.
Yeah.
Seattle Showers on the road going to play the Phoenix Borons. Showers are laying 1.5 here. 162.5 is total. Injury report here. Clea Copper is questionable with that back injury. Ezzy's still out with the concussion. Jules still out. Well, Jules questionable. I'm sorry. Jules
I'd be
questionable for
shocked if she
Thursday.
played in this game.
I'd be shocked
But
if she played too, but they haven't announced any more outs for DT or BG, but I would pretty much almost assume that they get one of those.
yeah.
I mean, I guess you could say the Borons have a motivation of not having a losing season. And I guess if there's an angle that you want to take the Borons here, it would be that. But I mean, D. Josh is talking about it. This is Skylar going up against Phoenix in the last game of the season. I don't know how you can lock up a lot on this slate, but what I will is I'm perfectly fine just fading the Borons. Like they're horrible.
I
They're
think I'm
horrible.
with you there. I'm going to give
I'm
Seattle
perfectly fine
props.
fading them.
I know we both won with the Aces in the last game. Props to Seattle.
They fought.
They hung in there. That's all I could ask for. They're missing their
We
leading
was sweat.
scorer,
I was
leading
sweating.
rebounder.
I was
Yeah,
sweating.
the sweat was probably like 3-4 minutes, and then the Aces killed them in the fourth quarter at the end. But the point is that at least the Storm hung in there for 3+ quarters against the hottest team in the league. Props to them for trying. It didn't work out, but they showed a heart. They haven't shown that in a while. That's good enough for me. The Mercury have nothing. So I'll go with the Storm. I'm not going to bet it, but I trust their effort level more than the Mercury.
162.5 Mercury. I mean, honestly, like that over sounds great, but the Mercury can't score.
Yeah. I would probably consider the Mercury team total under in this game.
Seattle team total over for me.
Okay.
That's the way I would play it. If they dare later on, I mean, let's check Bet365 real quick. I would play Skylar props still.
Okay.
That's it. I wouldn't play anybody else, but I play Skylar. Yeah, they do have some props up here too. Points and assists. Go ahead, cover my bases. That's how we've been playing Skylar all year. It'd be points and assists. All right. Last game up. Dallas Wings on the road going to play Las Vegas Aces. Wings are laying 3. 169.5 is total. So Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, Asia Wilson are all doubtful. I believe that the doubtful is doubtful because they play after the Connecticut Sun. So if by some chance that the Connecticut Sun lose this game, they would probably get upgraded and end up playing and go ahead and secure a 3. But again, you're asking for a lot at that point. Like you're really, really asking for a lot. So here we are. I'm expecting the 4 of them to be out. We got Dallas that has nothing to play for, but they're still starting WNBA players. Yeah, take Dallas.
I think I'm going to take Dallas too. Dallas, I know, is horrible. They were competitive the last 2 games. The Fever game was extremely fun, and they probably should have beaten Seattle. So at least they've been competitive recently, despite losing 8 straight again. The Aces, they have so much talent on their bench anyway that they don't ever use. But the Wings, assuming that they show up for one final game, even though McCown got suspended, so they're going to be a bit shorthanded. So if you want to go for some rebound props or other options, you might get some rebounds available for like Satu and company. But I'll go with the Wings. I think the Aces will be sitting everyone. The reason why is we just said they play after the Sun. They're expecting the Sun to win, so this game doesn't really matter to anybody. Give me the Wings. Why not? They beat this team when both teams were fully available last time out, and this team can score. So I'll go with the Wings.
I'm telling you, Connecticut can make this day so much more interesting.
Yeah. If Connecticut loses, we have a
Connecticut can make this day so much more interesting. Like in one game, Connecticut makes the whole slate like just fun.
That's really the problem, though, because they're playing the other team on the bottom end of the standings that also are playing for something. So that whole game determines the entire card today.
I feel like if you're one of those degenerates and you're going out here and you're saying, hey, I don't think they're going to win, but in case Chicago does win, I want a piece of that action just to like, if you do, you got to parlay Chicago with Vegas. If you're gonna just put a random piece of bet flyer on Chicago just in case like something crazy happens at the end of the season, you have to parlay them with Vegas because Vegas is 100% going to win that game. If somehow, some way Connecticut loses, Vegas is 100% going to win that game.
Yeah, if you want to do like an if-win bet where you can determine if this happens, then I also want to bet this. You can set that up as well for straight bets in your book. So that's an option you could do as well.
Wow, didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right. Other than that, yeah, I'm good.
Once again, apologies about the card for these games, but it's not our fault. So it is.
No, I mean it's the last game of the season. You can find you some value.
Yeah.
You can find you a bet or two. Like that's it. You don't have to go out here and bet every game, but you can find you a bet or two that you might feel a little all right playing. All right. Let's close things out and get up out of here, Scott. Lock dog.
Underdog's probably gonna have to pass because I don't know how many are gonna have.
Yeah, I wouldn't even. All right. For my lock, it's always a good day to fade Phoenix. Take a Seattle laying 1.5.
Really? Perfect. That's not where I thought you were going with this. Okay, cool.
No, I'm perfectly fine. I'm perfectly fine fading Phoenix at the end of the year and just saying that they just suck. Like they suck. They suck. Even like Phoenix is just not good. And despite I saw enough from Seattle in that last game of saying if they did that same thing against Phoenix, they're probably going to win the game. Seattle laying 1.5. Boom. For a dog. What's the halftime full time in that? Missed this game.
I'm gonna check Bet365. Their prices have been better than FanDuel lately in that market.
Let's see. What's that under main props?
Yeah. If you wanted halftime full time, that is available at
Plus 130. Wow.
Yeah, that doesn't make it.
Wow. It's not.
I mean, you could go for a same game parlay with spreads though. If you want to go for like the Mystics first half spread with the full game spread, that probably does get you above the threshold. Or Mystics and the over is like is plus 220 or something.
Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah, let's go with that. Sure, why not? No, because I actually kind of like that under.
I was starting to think if you can do like a first half game parlay.
Okay, this is what we'll do. I'll just parlay 2. We'll lay the 14 with Connecticut. We'll go super chalk and lay the 14 with Connecticut, and just say Kenny Carter doesn't play, and this is an absolute route. And then I'll go ahead and lay the 2.5 with the Mystics as well. That gets you about what, plus 240, something like that.
All right. So for my lock, what do I want to do here? We're so limited on options here, which is pretty annoying. I think I'm going to go with an alt spread as my dog, which is going to be extremely degen, but it feels right to me. Unless I go for a same game parlay. I'm just quickly checking around because it's going to determine everything else I do for this one. Same game parlay not available for the Connecticut game. Fantastic. Okay. So for my lock, I mean, I like Connecticut too, but I might do an alt line, but I have to see if I could actually like have access to an alt line because that's going to determine my entire, I'd say, breakdown for this. So double results, out of curiosity, it's minus 420. That's a good joke. Okay. I don't see any same game parlay options, so that is not available to me, but Sun Wire to Wires minus 172. That I can take. Yeah, just give me Connecticut minus 14. I found 14 on FanDuel. I got to do it. I think they bury this team. Chicago has basically no players left, and with Carter being questionable, with Cardoso being probably out, Connecticut has all the incentive to kill this team. I think they will. Give me Connecticut minus 14 to get the job done in this one. For the dog, this is where it gets a bit interesting because I feel like a halftime full-time line has to be where I'm going, but I don't really see many great options because we don't have many player props available in games either. So I'm really limited. I might just go to a parlay, maybe. Like, I don't know. Like, this is just so stupid. You know what? I'll do something really bold. I'll back the Wings in the finale, which is pretty funny. But I got to figure out who I want to parlay them with. Do I think the Mystics win? Probably. That could be an option. You know what? I think I'll actually do something a bit different. For my dog, you know what? Yeah, for my dog, I'm going to do a player prop, but I am going to parlay it with something else. I said before that Bet365 did have Clark lines available. I am going to go with an under on a Clark line, so I do want to feature that. So my lock will be the Sun, minus 14 on FanDuel. For my dog, I am going to go with Caitlin Clark under 34.5 PRA at 34 at once again a minus 135. So I'll go with that, and I'm going to parlay that with the Wings money line. That'll be my 2-pick dog. I don't actually have access to Bet365 lines though, so can you just plug that in for me?
Let's see.
It's just Wings money line with Clark 34.5 PRA under.
Bet365 logging back in because they log out super quickly. All right, minus 140 with Clark. We said
34.5 PRA.
Play props. Points, rebounds, and assists. Under, that gets you plus 198.
Sure, I'll take the plus 198.
And got early payout on the Wings.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's it. Playoffs start Sunday, I believe, guys. I'm pretty sure that's the schedule. They get the next 2 days off. Playoffs start on Sunday. I don't know in order of who's playing what playing, but hey, make sure you go ahead and you're subscribed so you get the notification whenever we set up a show and we go live, and then you don't have to worry about it. But expect to see us back on Saturday nights. Yeah, expect to see us back on
Yeah.
a Saturday night for a Sunday games. They're probably going to tip off around the same time as football does because they do that every year, and it actually really annoys me. But
Yeah, it's really, really stupid, but I have the layout if you actually want it now. So the
oh,
layout for the playoffs in round one, you have 4 game ones on Sunday. So 4 games on Sunday. Then you have 2 games on Tuesday, which will be 2 of the, of course, game 2s that we saw for the first round. Then you have the other 2 playing on Wednesday, and then you have Thursday, Friday, etc. So yeah, you have Sunday, day off Monday, and then you have games 4 straight days if you get game 3s that are necessary.
all right, so we will probably do series breakdowns on that Saturday episode as well, right before the games, get into the games, and then hey, we're trucking and rolling with the playoffs. Other than that, Scott, anything else for people before we get up out of here?
No, looking forward to the playoffs.
Sorry guys, I really don't have a parlay. I don't want to put too much more on this slate. You know what? I'll do double parlay for the first day of the playoffs. That's what we'll do. We'll make up the parlay. We'll do double parlay. There we go. All right. Yeah, that's it. I have nothing else to say. Nothing else to. Hey, make sure you give us a like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you give us a rating and review, 5-star rating and review wherever you get your podcast. Other than that, it's been a good season. I have nothing else to say. Nothing else to do. No other way of ending podcast. Just gonna end like this. We are out of here.